Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to all of you from wherever you are watching us. Friends, the art of persuasion in today's digital world, exploring pre-manipulation with Dr. Kevin Hogan. Welcome to the exciting YouTube live session on the topic of persuasion in the age of pre-manipulation. And today we are featuring, as I said, renowned Dr. Kevin Hogan, an international speaker and NLP trainer. And today we will delve into the intriguing world of persuasion and its modern adaptation in the digital era. In simple terms, if I say persuasion, that is actually the convincing others to agree with our ideas or do something we suggest. However, with the rise of technology and smart marketing, a new form of persuasion called pre-manipulation
Hmm.
has emerged. So, pre-manipulation involves cleverly influencing people's thoughts and actions even before they realize it's happening. So, this can occur through social media, ads, or online content where messages are designed to subtly shape our beliefs and decisions. So, in this session today, we will learn more about the methods which can be used to influence us without being fully aware, and the responsible use of persuasion to avoid manipulation, and the role of NLP into it.
Hmm.
So, before I hand over the stage to Dr. Kevin Hogan, let me give a small introduction of Dr. Hogan to you. That Dr. Kevin Hogan, he has consulted at his home with White House advisors, political candidates, both liberal and conservative, the
Hmm.
government of Poland, the eighth largest private bank in the world, Novozymes, 3 million employees of Microsoft, and the dozens of Fortune 500 companies. Of his 26 books, including The Psychology of Persuasion, The Science of Influence, Covert Persuasion, and many others, are typically available in India. And they have been translated into 46 languages. Oh my God, 46 languages around the world. Can you believe that?
No.
He's been interviewed by over 300 magazines and newspapers, including the Financial Times, the New York Times, the Wall Street Journal, Success, Selling Power, and Personal Selling Power. So you have lot of things to learn from Dr. Kevin Hogan. You can learn about persuasion, sales technology, marketing, NLP, and how this can help you in consulting and coaching at Kevin Hogan channel on YouTube. Wow. So, friends, without any delay, let's welcome Dr. Kevin Hogan. Just in the comment box, type welcome Dr. Hogan, and Dr. Hogan, over to you.
Thank you very much, Prashant. Appreciate it. Good day, everybody. Yeah, Kevin Hogan here. Wow, 26 books, 46 languages. It is astonishing. It's been quite a life. I'd like to get a few more years if you can manage that for me. That'll take a miracle sometimes. Several things I want to share with you today. I want to first of all talk to you, if I can, about just a little bit of background about why I wrote Premanipulation, because I had written 24 books. I'm working on two others right now at the same time about influence as well. But this became more important than my other work because of COVID. And so I want you to go back in time with me 2.5 years to about March of 2020. And this is where this all sort of exploded. This whole concept of pre-manipulation started. So let's just go back in time for all of us for 3 minutes. Number one, every country on planet Earth, to as much as they could, was locked down. Okay, every country was locked. Good day. Every country was locked down. Now, in the United States, that meant that you were allowed to walk around the park, okay, whenever you wanted, but you couldn't go, say, to the stores and be near other people. You had to keep 2 meters from each person, for example. Down in Chile, where I spent some time in February, right before we left Chile the day before the lockdown in the United States of America. If we would have stayed one more day, we would have been stuck in Chile for 2 years. Phew, boy, man, I'm telling you, not a good time. So that was the beginning. So here's this international, for the very first time ever on this planet, everybody is locked down. Everybody has rules of some kind, maybe not Belgium, but everybody else has rules that they have to follow. And everybody has these, you have government telling you what to do. Here's what you must do. Here's what you must do. Now, by the way, I got COVID. It was terrible. It was horrible. And I really thought I might not make it through it. It was that bad. So when I talk about COVID, I sometimes smile, but it was a very painful physical experience as well as internationally social experience as well for my world. So international. So you had COVID. I had COVID. We went through the pandemic together. We experienced this whole thing. Now, that's interesting because we had people telling us what to do as if we were little children, right? So here you have this, we all grew up, we got older, we decided, no, Mom, I'm not going to listen to you anymore because I'm bigger than you now, and I love you. Please don't hit me. But so we got used to this, being independent, if you will. And then all of a sudden we had somebody telling us what to do. You can't go outside. You can't, like in Chile, they weren't allowed to go outside except for 1 hour a week to go shopping, and that was it. And you get a little text message on your telephone. I'm going to hold up a comb, pretend this is a telephone. I hate phones. But you get a text message on your telephone, and there you go. It's like, oh, you can go shopping now, and that's it. And you got to be back home in 1 hour, and there were police officers to get you in trouble. That's pretty scary. Scary. Fear. Okay. So now all of a sudden you have people at home. Let's just now look at, what does this all mean now? Okay. And how does it relate to influence? What could that possibly have to do with anything? Number one, write it down, by the way. I write everything down. Every person I consult with, when I talk to the White House advisors, they write it down. When I talk to the government of Poland on how they're going to get along with the Catholic Church, they write it down. When I sit there and I work with the smartest people on this planet, they write it down. Why? Because I tell them I'm not going to talk anymore until you grab a piece of paper and a pen and write everything I said down. All that can happen is that you learn it. You don't have to agree with it. You simply have to know it. And then you can sit and dispute intelligently later on and go, I wonder if he's right about that. Okay. All right. So we're starting this period now, this really weird period. And all of a sudden people start to distrust each other. They don't trust each other anymore. It's like you don't trust your own neighbor. You don't trust the country next to you. You don't trust the very few people who are flying in on an airplane into your country. You don't trust somebody in the United States. You don't trust somebody in China. You don't trust somebody in India. Okay. We don't trust anyone. And so now we don't know who to trust. So we used to be able to trust, well, geez, if you're from the United States, it's really easy to trust Israel, the United Kingdom. We all have our favorites, right, in the United States. Now, you should know that I spent most of my before the pandemic, I spent most of the previous 5 years in Europe, and I lived most of the time between Poland and Bulgaria. Okay, Poland and Bulgaria. So I'm very familiar with this part of the world, and I'm very familiar with France, Spain, Germany, pretty much all of Eastern Europe. That's sort of like where I enjoy hanging out and spending my time. I love it there, actually. I'm an addict. I love that side of the world. So distrust, though. Distrust. Anybody who doesn't look like us, anybody who doesn't sound like us, anybody who doesn't think that COVID is real or that COVID wasn't real. We had these big arguments all about this kind of stuff. And if you disagreed with me, right? If you disagreed, well, you were wrong. You had to be wrong because you didn't agree with me, so you had to be wrong. I didn't agree with you. I had to be wrong, right? That's how it was. So now we have distrust and fear. We don't know who to trust. We don't know who to believe, so we don't believe anybody. We don't trust anybody. And this is what's really interesting. As it is, humans, men especially, are skeptical of other men. This is pretty normal and pretty reasonable. All right. I mean, for millions of years, we've been on this planet and we've grown to be careful around other people. I'm going to talk with you in a little bit about metaprograms, but not the metaprograms you learned at certification training. I'm going to talk with you about the metaprograms that we developed after I had been through certification, because I got so excited about NLP, hypnosis, particularly, obviously the works of Milton Erickson especially. I'd studied it all from a slightly different vantage point than the way that Bandler and Grinder taught it. I loved what they did and how they developed it and how it went on two separate paths that were so divergent and cool. But, and I'll come back, we're going to come to the new meta programs in a minute. If you grab that book that I put in, if you go to kevinhogan.com/coffee and you subscribe to coffee right there, just type your email address in, you'll get a link back. It'll say confirm your subscription, and then it'll take you then to a page where you'll be able to get a copy of Mind Access. That's my very first book that I ever wrote. It's 175 pages. It's not a long read, but it contains a ton of good information about the new meta programs that we discovered here in Minnesota, because I started a school, and this was wild. You know, the idea of starting a licensed school with the government, okay, here in Minnesota, with their approval to train hypnosis and NLP was not something, I think maybe there were 4 in the entire United States at the time. And boy, did we have to go through a lot of work. That's the one right there. Yeah. And so we actually did the school, and we actually researched every single piece of NLP that was taught through Frogs into Princes and reframing and the meta model work and all of it. Just Robert Diltz's work and Virginia Satir and all the guys. So we studied everything, but then we tested everything. We wanted to know what really worked in real life. And so we coordinated with the University of Wisconsin and the University of Washington at Seattle. And so we had all of these people working with us on testing NLP tools. And I would write about like an NLP tool, and then I'd have somebody from Northwestern University in Chicago say, no, I don't agree with you. And I'd say, oh, well, we'll just go study that and test it. And sometimes I was wrong, which meant that the guys who taught me NLP were wrong. Sometimes we blew their minds away, and we were so right, they were shocked. I'll share some of that with you later on too. So back to the pandemic, because this is really critical that we get this part. So people over the last 2.5 to 3 years now, 2.5 years, have really become distrusting of other people. We have people that stay in their homes now because they're afraid to leave, just because they're afraid. They've developed anxiety, social phobias. Think about it for just a second. You don't always want to go out of your house because you have this social sort of phobic reaction around people. It's like, you know, like this sort of like, he's standing awful close to me, awfully close. It used to be we tried to encourage to stand people, 10 years ago, 3 to 6 feet between you and them would be perfect. 1 to 2 meters, and everything would be fine. Not anymore. Nope. All the rules have changed. Everything has changed. So this has created prejudice and bias. All of this has. So the Chinese, we know, started this whole problem because they're evil people, and they let the lab in Wuhan, and all of a sudden everything floated out of there. A bunch of birds flew out and gave I don't know. It was crazy. I don't know who made up these stories. I actually know people who were relevant in all of these experiments that were going on in viruses. I've talked with them all face to face, and many of them are actually my good friends. So this was pretty easy. And they said, Kevin, I don't know where they're making this stuff up from. So it will be interesting to see how it all plays out. But one thing was for sure, we didn't trust each other. We didn't trust people. So social distance increases. We have anxiety. Anxiety causes fear in people. Fear causes people to be unsure of themselves. People, you are, I am, all of us are. We're unsure about ourselves. We're uncertain. And the one thing that sells, the one thing that causes people to succeed is the expectation, the certainty. Like if you have an automobile and you drive to the gas station and you're married, you would say something like, honey, I'm going to get gas and I'll be back in 10 minutes. Okay. All right. I'm going to get gas. I'm going to get some gasoline. Honey doesn't say, well, are you sure you can do it? Do you believe in yourself? Are you really going to be okay? No, nobody says that. No, what does the honey say? She says, in this case, she says, okay, see you soon. That's certainty. That's certainty. We've lost certainty in almost everything that we've done. And if you don't have certainty, you fail, but worse. If you don't have certainty, if I can't put certainty back inside of you today, when you're working with your clients, you're not going to be able to put certainty inside of them. And the way you get certainty is by having accurate information, which is tough because it's hard to know whose information is accurate. Are the conservatives right? The liberals right? Oh, during pandemic, liberals and conservatives all around the world had different opinions on how to handle everything. Imagine that, right? Okay. All right. I'll explain why that happens and why that's important, super important for today in how you're going to work with your clients. So anxiety causes fear. Fear causes people to be unsure of themselves. When people are unsure of themselves, this sort of idea virus or meme begins. And basically, the people there that could be your clients or are your clients, they're looking out to you and they're wondering, could you be valuable to them? But how could they decide on that? Because they don't trust and they're afraid and they have anxiety and they don't know what to do. And write this down. This is the $1 million take home number one. People are demanding internally to be told what to do in 2023. This started in 2021. If you remember 2021, in 2021, they took the dislike button off at YouTube. They took the dislike button off at all of social media. There was no more dislike anything. Okay. It was like or heart or something positive, positive, positive. Why? Because all of the things that are going on inside of our head are bad. And people, the companies like Facebook, their partner Instagram, which is part of Meta, Google, all these companies realized an obvious thing, which is that people are dying for reassurance. Write that down. Reassurance. Reassurance. They want to be reassured that they're going to make a good decision. How crazy is it? It's pretty crazy. In the English-speaking world, approximately 80% of all women who make a purchase that use TikTok will go on to TikTok and they will note what they have purchased. Or this is also true of Instagram, by the way, not Facebook, but Instagram and TikTok. And so when women buy something, they will go on and they will say, oh, I bought this shirt. I bought this nice boutique shirt. What do you think? What do you think on social media? I don't want anybody's opinion. And I need to get this back with people. I need people to get back to being able to say, I've got this boutique shirt. I don't know if that's okay in India, you know? It was given to me by my good friend Hing Nikolai over in Indonesia, one of the real great NLP trainers in the world. And I love him very much. He's an awesome dude. And his people are great. And I'm a big fan of their work over there. And so I need people to know that it's okay for them. Your clients or the people who are going to be your clients will need reassurance. When they're evaluating you, when they're determining whether you are going to be working with them or not, they're going to be partially thinking, I wonder if he can really help me. I wonder if she's really smart enough to help me. I wonder if she has the skills to help me. I wonder if he is kind enough and won't just push me so hard that he'll just like push me over. Okay. People need reassurance right now more than any time in history. This is a huge key point for you. $1 million point number two. If your work is not giving people some real reassurance, not BS, no baloney, no garbage, no, don't lie to people in any way ever. Okay. Kev, how do you look today? Okay, Dr. Hogan, how many books? 26? Not bad for a guy with 26 books. That's how I'd say it, right? Okay. But if he doesn't look great, then don't say it. All right. We have to get back to being gently and kindly honest with people and allow people to have challenges because they're going to have to overcome them. When people come to you, think about it. When people come to a coach, they want to be coached. They're demanding it, just like the woman who goes on TikTok or Instagram to get reassurance from her what I call the Rolodex, which is the contact list. She wants reassurance. And how does she get that? She gets it from likes. Likes. Why do we go on social media? We go on social media to get likes. Okay. And as soon as we have enough likes and we've given enough likes, you literally sit there and you get you liked 100 people, and your brain goes, don't tell anybody I told you this, but we've all thought the exact same thing. It's really simple. If I give 100 likes today, I should get 20 back. Wow. Can you imagine that 10 years ago? Just 10 years ago? That would have been the craziest thing in the world. Nobody would have believed it. Nobody would have believed that the driving force of the behaviors of over half of planet Earth is to get a freaking like. Okay? That's pretty important to your business because your client is going to be needing a like, but your client is failing. I promise they are. I promise. We do all get clients who are doing well, but I tell you what, I've had just about everybody who's anybody in my house here. I've had people from the White House in the Obama administration. I've had boy, I tell you, I've had corporate executives here. I've worked all over the world. I've been called in to make a deal between the government of Poland and the Catholic Church. Kevin, can you get the Catholic Church and the government of Poland, radical right, radical left, and get them to agree that it's okay to wear condoms? You got to be kidding me. You really need me to do that? We accomplished the goal, and they shifted their policy, and it's now history. Okay, so that's what happens. You have to go in and you have to be able to understand what people really need, right? Your client and your future client needs reassurance. They need the like button hit, but they need to know that you're different than everybody else. Okay, you're different than everybody else. Super important. Super important. If you are the same, if every coach is the same as another coach, then all of the hands, they all look the same. And there's no way that anybody's going to trust anyone. Okay? Super important. So now we know that the people out there want help. They need somebody like a mom or a dad to tell them what to do. They're demanding it of me. Corporations don't sit there and say, geez, would you come and teach us something? They say, Kev, we want you to come. We've told our people that you're going to increase our sales and change our sales strategies or the marketing strategies. Those are usually my two tools there. Or to teach their executives nonverbal communication and body language, which is what I've sort of developed. Maybe I've got the biggest career right now. Paul Lekman used to be number one. He's getting a little old. I love the man. He's great. He's 91 years old, and I think we've eclipsed his work, but it'll never be as great as his work is. His work influenced me in college so much. It was I'm just in love with the dude. He's a great guy. So anyway, yeah. So the paradox is that people are more fearful today, right, than ever. People are just terrified more than ever. People need stable thought. They need stable thought from you. You have to be able to come up with a plan that's going to work. All right. All right. And in NLP, we call these strategies. All right. And a strategy is something that you can test, you can operate it, test it again. And as soon as it works, you get out. All right. That's Robert Dilts tote models. Pretty simple. Boy, I tell you, you talk about no rocket science. That's how I've run my life. Test, operate, test, exit. Come on, let's get it done. It's not that hard. All right. Remember that. That's like his Strategies of Genius works are all really wonderful books. You can read them. You don't need me to replicate that information for you. But think about what you're going to do from the strategy, from your strategy, your point of view, that you're going to teach them a tool and you're going to say, go do this and report back to me next week at this time or in 3 days, depending on how often you see your clients. I like seeing people face to face in my house. Okay. Or if I'm going to their offices, their corporate offices or around the world or whatever, I'll go there, depending on who they are, what we're doing, how excited, how fun it is for me, and so on. It's got to be an enjoyable project or I'm not going to do it. So and you sort of have to get to the point too where you do that. You don't want to do work that you're not qualified to do. If you don't know, then there's a different way you do it, which is always to use test, operate, test, exit. Because if you have an idea and you say, oh well, I'm a great coach and I know everything, and I've studied for 35 years, and say you're 35 years old. Okay, well, what you do is you say like this. Here's how, when you're young and you've had less than 100 clients, here's your sentence. Here's how you say it. You say, I have recently studied and developed my coaching career. I've learned so much that the guys who were coaching 25 years ago never knew. They had to learn half of it from experience, but they don't have half the knowledge that we do now. Okay, so would you rather work with somebody who's 75 years old or somebody who's 40 years old? Okay, that's a frame, right? That's framing, right? All right. Now, by the way, what if you're 65 years old? What if you're a consultant coach, something along those lines? What if you've really studied human behavior and you really get it? You've read Sapolsky's work on how people behave. You've read all of the advanced work that's been done. You've read maybe Hogan's work. He's pretty good. There's a few things in those books that are not so bad. So you've read some of the science, the real work. You can say, look, here's what you learn when you're 75 years old or 60 or 55 or whatever. It's like you learn what really works. You know how? You find out by giving people projects, you have them do it this week, and then you bring it back the following week and you test it and you see where they went. And then you go ahead and change it and you shift it and you give them something else to do and you give them something else and something else and something else. And you continually give people assignments and you have them write it down on paper, because next week, whether you're in person, whether you're on Facebook or Skype or where are we at? StreamYard today? StreamYard or Zoom or whatever, doesn't matter. I want to see that they did their homework. Okay, that's my number one thing. Did you do your homework? If you just sat there and typed stuff into your computer, they will never see it again. They will never look at it. And this has created a wimpy mindset. Wimpy in America means like not very impressive. All right. We want people to write it down so it becomes like a signature. When people sign their name to something, they have signed their promise that this is going to happen. So I want to go back now to the end of the pandemic. Let's just take a quick visit here. About 9 months ago, a year ago. Let's call it a year. So about a year ago, pandemic's over, and everybody's like, oh, okay, everybody's free to go. You guys can all go now. Everybody can go. If you want to wear a mask, wear a mask. Okay, everybody can wear a mask. But everybody can go. But what are the rules? Some people are wearing tons of masks. Other people aren't wearing a mask at all. You don't see conservatives with masks. You don't see liberals without them, right? It's interesting. All around the world, how is that possible? Okay, well, it's because liberals see the world in one way and conservatives see it in a different way. Actually, in my mind, I don't see either as good or bad because I'm actually neither. I'm like on a different part of the triangle over here. In our country, it's independent and everybody hates this. It's not just part of the 50%. So people are fearful today. They need stable thought and they need stable thinkers, people who can actually tell them what to do. They demand that you change their mind, their attitude, their mindset. They demand, they're not saying, doggone it, Kevin, I want you to come into my company and I want you to make us profitable. Okay, so a couple have actually said that to me. When I worked with Fortis Pearson over in Amsterdam 15 years ago, they literally said that. They wanted to do another $1/3 trillion. Kev, can you get us another $1/3 trillion? I was like, is that all you guys want? Is $1/3 trillion? Okay. And I had an audience that was massive over there. I'm like, okay, guys, all I am going to do is get you guys $1/3 trillion. We actually succeeded. I was invited back 15 months later, spoke with the Fortis Pearson company. They changed their name that year. And then that night we went up and spoke at Maserati. And they wanted me to speak. They have Mr. Runke, who is well known as one of the greatest sales managers of all time. And Kevin Hogan is going to come and tell them how to sell more Maseratis. Mr. Runke is a genius. The man has a piece of paper on his desks. Okay, Mr. Runke. Okay. Mr. Runke says, Kevin, this is great. It's just him and me in the office, right? And so he says, Kevin, he says, who's your audience? I said, Mr. Runke, and it was Mr. by the way. I was not going to call him by his first name. And I said, sir, I go, my client is the person who calls me with an interesting problem that nobody else could solve in the world except for me, probably. He said, probably? I was like, well, because I can't solve every problem. He says, how often do you fail? I said, nowadays, less often, but mostly because I don't take a project that I think I have a real good chance of failing on, because there's a lot on the line. In other words, it's a very high investment kind of a thing. I said, but in the old days, I probably failed 20% of the time. And when I first started in business and selling marketing, I failed about 80% of the time, you know. And he said, okay. He says, let me tell you who my customer is. And he takes the piece of paper and he draws a graph. And this is their income. And this is their lifestyle, what they get out of owning a Maserati. Okay. And he would say, my client, and he put a little circle right here, little circle, just like, there it is, a little circle like that. He says, that's my client. And then he says, BMW is over here because they don't look good. People don't buy BMWs because they and he gave me this whole thing, Audis and BMWs and Lexus and all of the cars, everything. Even Lamborghini, which he didn't like at all. Oh, don't tell anybody that, but I mean, that's what he told me. So anyhow, so here's this whole list of things, and he's got them all on the graph, and he knows precisely where they're at. All right, he knows. So my question for you is, who do you want to be your client? Okay, who do you want to be your client? Who do you think that you most likely would be helping? Because they've come out of pandemic and they're fearful, they have anxiety, and they need guidance from somebody that they can look at and know is going to be able to help them. All right. Now, the interesting thing here is that not everything comes from a scientific background. My background is both spiritual and scientific. The two things do go along with each other once in a while, but really, more often than not, they don't. These two point of views inside of me don't see eye to eye, which is great because you always want to be questioning yourself. Like, oh, wait a second. If I have Prussian do this, what if he fails? How will he handle that? Well, he's going to have to fail because whenever you try something new, you fail, right? That's just part of the deal. So your client, I have a client right now. Healer says, if we know the process, we can help the ones who are in pain to overcome their pain areas. This, of course, is a fact. So a lot of times, the process, though, is not based upon what necessarily my process is, but the meta process, which is, for example, healer is not what I would call a typically scientific word. It would be more of a spiritual word. I could be wrong at this specific application, right? For this person, right? But this is a good example, though. So the thing is that if I walk up to somebody who's very spiritual in nature and I say, and I talk to my son, we talk about science. My daughter and I, she's a psychologist, I'm a psychologist, right? And then there's my spiritual friends over here. And we all get along great because we all know how to speak each other's language. We all know what matters to the other person, and we all care, and we all want them all to succeed. But if you want to convince me, well, I'm a little different, but if you want to convince my son, you have to talk science. If you can't prove it in science and numbers, there's no sale. If you can't prove it in my daughter that it's ethical and moral and it is the only way to do it, she won't do it. And so we all have sort of different angles of how we look at problems, and how we're going to solve them. But from a meta point of view, you need to be able to know that you can help these people with these problems. Okay. And these people over here, you say, not my world. Can't do that. Nope. I go, let me give you John's phone number over here. Call him, email him, go to his Facebook, check him out. He's good. You want to get to the point where if you can move a piece of business, okay, a potential client, to someone else because that's their expertise, you just did the right thing. You want to talk about a spiritual thing to do? That's the spiritual thing to do. Do the right thing and move it along. All right. Give it to somebody who's more appropriate to the context. Don't sit there and say, well, geez, I really want to do this. If it's really important, move it along to the right person. But what are you the right person for? What are you the right person for? You're the right person for something. Okay, I don't know what it is. Now, so magical miracle thought matters, so does scientific thought. Always be remembering that just because you do miracles, the scientist is not going to be okay with that. They don't want that. And so don't try to convince them with that. You talk their language, and this is where you become good. You speak their language. All right? You speak their language. That's really critical. Your client needs validation. They need to be validated, liked. Okay? They need to know that you like them, that you respect them. And if you don't yet, you say, you know what? I am going to appreciate you a lot when you have accomplished the things that we're going to work on, or that you've tried and you've given your best to make progress. And whether you fail or succeed, as long as you give everything you have and you keep going, you will make it. So everything is fine. That's certainty. Okay. Certainty, right? If you say, well, gee, I mean, if you fail, right? That's not certainty, right? So speak with certainty or don't speak to that person at all. I want you to write down the answer to this question. I put this on my Facebook and on Instagram today, but you must stand out as an expert or a leader, one of the two or both. You must know what your dramatic difference is between you and your competition. What is the dramatic? I'm not talking about what's the difference between you and your competition, your competitor. All right. But like, what's the dramatic difference? Why does the government of Poland call Kevin Hogan to have a deal made between the Catholic Church and the government? Because who else on planet Earth would do that? Nobody'd be stupid enough to do that. That's a lot of work, and you're going to get yelled at a lot. And I did, but we made it work. And I'll tell you that story. It's a 1 hour story all by itself, but it's a great story, and it illustrates the problems that people have. Plus, I'm not even going to go there. So I now want to go down to creating a belief in your client. Okay, creating a belief in your client with values elicitation. Here's the deal. Everybody learned NLP here from somebody who was probably a pretty good trainer. Okay, now we actually tested every single aspect of NLP possible. Every single aspect of NLP that was testable, we tested it. Values elicitation turned out to be one of the most important tools we had. We were simply using it for the wrong thing. Okay. So what we used to do is we would say, well, what's most important to you in life? What's most important, and what else, and what else, and what else, and what else? And we'd have a list. We'd have a little list here, right? We'd have a list of God, the wife, my kid, my dog, my business, Kevin. Okay, right? So you got a list. So I just named that list, right? I said, what's most important in life? And we stopped. And we believed that we had the answer. Not the case, though. What happened was, Healer, I'm gonna let you ask that question when we have time, and we're gonna see if we can convince Prashant to go a little long today, because we're gonna go a little long today. When you get the values elicitation list, you don't have the real list. This is not the real list. This is all of the things that matter to this person, but they gave them to you in what you believe and what I believed was a sequence, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 in this case. All right. But we found out we were wrong. Okay. So that's okay. Because now what we do is we do the same exact thing, but now we do the second step. This is the second step part of the process now. Now we say, okay, so now out of God, my wife, my kid, my dog, my business. Gosh, I wish I could read my handwriting. And the last one, okay, whatever that says. Which of those is the most important to you in life? God or the wife? I think they're the same person anyway. I don't know. So whatever. But right? Okay. So whatever. So here's maybe number 1, number 2, number 3, number 4, number 5, number 6, whatever it is. And so now we know, and we can actually have the person tell us verbally as they read us their list, which they wrote down on a piece of paper, what really is most important to them in life. And it never matches the first 6 things they gave you, because those were the things off the top of their head. Here's what we found out. We found out when people do values elicitation, what's the most important thing in life, or what's the most important part of your business, or what's the most important whatever, we found that people were essentially sabotaging their lives because they were listing things that they were comfortable in saying out loud to another person. okay, instead of what was really most important. We had no idea that we were getting the wrong information from them. We got the right data, but we assumed the wrong things about it. Now we know what really works, okay? And so now we know that they're going to tell us those things in the sequence that is real once they've established all of those criteria, what the values are. And now we know. Now it's like literally we have it down. That's pretty cool, by the way. So I want to just point out in the book, I'm assuming everybody's got it by now. Um, there is 2 chapters in the book, and I'm going to point them to you. And I'm not going to go into detail because you have the book there. And I'm thinking of the meta programs because that's the most important, easiest stuff to learn out of that book is the meta programs. And by the way, none of this is anything like what you were taught in certification training. These were all meta programs that we added from research we tested. I'm going to make up a number, totally making this up, 250. Maybe it was 300, maybe it was 200. I don't remember. But we tested a lot of meta program possibilities. And we found out that most of them were not really meta programs. But we did come up with the ones that are in the book that you have, Mind Access. And there's I think that much later, though, I came up with the Get Stuff Done meta program. It's just an easy one to remember. Get stuff done. How do people, when you have a client, will they really get it done? Will they really get it done? There's a meta program, and I'm going to have you write this down. And what I want you to do is just write it down and put down, do they get it done quickly? And put some space. Do they get it done right? Do they get it done slowly? Do they get it done poorly? Do they get it done wrong? Okay, because a lot of people do get stuff done, but it's one of those things. Okay, right, fast. Okay, quickly, right, slowly, poorly, wrong. Okay, and you have to gently find out. And you would ask a person like this, because you're going to give them a lot of homework assignments as a coach, and it'll be coach especially. And you want to know where their meta program really is. So when you get stuff done, what's your most typical reaction? Like, do you go, oh my gosh, that was wrong, or that was really slow, or that was really fast, or that was right, I got that? Like what's the typical reaction? And find out where people are on that meta program, because you need to know that to work with clients. Okay, that's number one. And let me think here. I've got a couple over here that I wrote down. This one's in the book, is the change status quo. This is critical. It is in the book though, but I think I updated it since then. Change people that are change people these are liberals generally, okay? And the liberal mind tends to be different. It looks for differences that are interesting to have in life. They tend to evolve. They tend to grow into other ideas and things, and they don't just go into the straight one line and stay with that forever. They alter things. They tend to switch things, change them around. The status quo person, meanwhile, on the other side of the meta program, this person tends to be a conservative. They tend to be consistent. They tend to be conscientious. They tend to be stable. They tend to be steady. They tend to be the same and predictable. Now, both sides of this are really important. Here's what makes one heck of a good coach or consultant. If you want to be amazing, you have to be as strong as a conservative, as hardworking as a conservative, and as smart as a liberal. And you have to be able to put those 2 pieces together, and that will make you genius material at the coach consultant jobs, okay, that you're going to be doing. When I say job, I don't mean working for a corporation. I mean, it might be, but I mean working for yourself. But each job you have is each client that you have. That's your work, right? And then that's in the book, I'm sure of that. And new ideas is in the book too. Yeah. So I think those are the rest. The rest of them are in the book, and I want you to work on those meta programs that are in the book. You're welcome to drop me a note and ask me a single question or 2. I'm not going to answer questions for like a month from today's meeting, but I'll be happy to do it like over the next few days, and over the weekend. I'll be no problem at all with that. So, but do go through the meta programs. Let's say like later on today or tomorrow. Do it today, because you know what happens if you don't get it done today. It will not happen ever. You want to help your clients. You want to be able to help yourself. And by the way, these things go together. Okay, this is how you are going to build business. You build business by having a presence, a strength, but the strength has to be couched in gentleness and a kindness and a love too. It's really important. These things go together very, very well. Every good parent on planet Earth has the ability to yell at their child at the top of their lungs, say, get out of the road, you're going to get hit by a car, get over here now. All right? That's your job as a parent. Keep them alive, okay? Keep them alive, all right? And your second job is to tell them, I love you very, very much. Okay, I'm going to open up for questions, and don't worry about Prashant's rule about 13 minutes left or whatever. I'll go for a while, okay? So go ahead. Any questions that you have? Sure, he's the one who's got the keys to the car. I'm gonna let Prashant do all of that. Please do some NLP techniques to deal with anxiety, to overcome anxiety. Okay, so here's a question for you, Healer. First of all, if I had a tool to overcome anxiety, and there's actually like a lot of them. Okay, there's lots of cool tools that you can do to overcome anxiety, because if you do this, all right, and then if you do it with both of your hands, your anxiety level reduces. Okay, it's really cool. All right, it's super cool. All right, but it's not an NLP technique, is it? So we don't just want an NLP technique to overcome anxiety, do we? We really want to help the client. Okay, so I'm going to pull Healer out of that mode just a little bit, about halfway out, and I'm going to have him make a shift in his thinking process, that I look at the client, and I'm going to encourage you to do the same thing. Okay, look at the client and say, this person has anxiety. Okay, how are they describing it to me? What are they telling me? What are they telling me that will work for them? A lot of people really believe it's like some magical potion, a prayer, okay, an NLP technique, all right, a piece of hypnotic work. Okay, there's lots of ways for us to do that. So there's lots of tools we want to learn that are tangential to NLP. In other words, good, they're related to NLP, but they're not necessarily just NLP. Okay, fair enough. So little tools like this, giving people a tool. I've done this many times with students, okay, college students, university students. That was my audience for quite a while. And they would be going into for college testing, and I would say, okay. And they would call me and they say, Kev, I'm really, really scared, man. I'm gonna fail out and I'm not gonna get accepted into school. Like, go into the bathroom, bring your phone in the bathroom right now. Okay. Okay, go into the stall. Put your headphones on so nobody can hear this conversation. Okay. And here's what I want you to do. I want you to sit there and just sit there and think, I'm really scared. I'm really nervous. As you do this with your fingers, I explain it to them. It takes about 30 minutes to explain the process. And then eventually we're going to speed up as we say. And then what I want you to do is to think of what it's going to be like when you carefully and wisely answer all of those questions. This is called a little hypnotic induction. That's as simple as that. And what I'm going to have you do as you go faster with your fingers is know that you can absolutely be sure that you're going to actually do much better than you anticipated on the test. And you can call Kevin when you're done and tell him the score that you got, if indeed you get a computerized score today. Okay, cool. He's in the bathroom. He's in the stall. He's just done this for 25 minutes with me. It's one of my favorite little quick tools for somebody to do. That's like a 30-second tool. Okay, give me another question, guys. Oh, let me go home? No, come on. Excellent. I'm glad.
Awesome, 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 Dr. Hogan. Wonderful session. I am really enjoying it. So, friends, if you have more questions, do ask. And I have got some questions for Dr. Hogan
Sure.
here. Right. So, the first question is like, okay, how does NLP play a role in understanding pre-manipulation?
Oh, say the question again, because there's a lot of NLP and pre-manipulation. So say it again.
How does NLP play a role in understanding pre-manipulation?
So pre-manipulation is first, number one. Let's just define it first, and then I'll answer the question. First, pre-manipulation. There's two basic meanings. The first is that we are demanding as people to be persuaded. Like, tell me what to do. What do I do? I'm scared. Okay. So they're basically demanding to be manipulated. Okay. So now NLP is probably the most potentially easily abused power source in the world. All right. You have this amazing set of tools and techniques that's like a surgeon's toolkit. So so understanding NLP helps you with pre-manipulation, because once you've been trained with NLP, you understand how people think, like what goes on inside of their mind and what matters. You do understand the values, you do understand their decision-making strategies and all of those strategies that they have. What's really important in pre-manipulation in this new age of liking and validation is fitting the person's needs into your tools. They need validation. They need reassurance. They need to know, Kev, you're doing okay, man. Good job. You're doing all right, man. Okay? Except for they need to hear it like this. Kev, good job. You're going to do all right. Okay? All right? Good. You get it? Right? You understand? Okay, cool. All right. So they need to hear that from us. Not like in NLP, you're sitting there with a set of tools, and everybody has their favorite tools. Mine is reframing. I love reframing. I love taking a person's challenge and reframing it. And so for me, everything starts in my mind as a reframe. So somebody say, Kev, I'm having a terrible day. What happened? Oh, it was hot, and I actually broke my leg in 3 places last year. I couldn't walk for almost 9 months. It was terrible, both knees, and I got my stomach muscles ripped as well. Oh, terrible. And my buddy Devin, who was my trainer, my lead trainer at our school for 10 years, he says, Kev, he says, this is an interesting challenge. It'll be interesting to see how you get past this and the story that you tell later. And I was like, I hate you. I just hate you. So this is taking, but the point was that he accomplished his goal. In other words, I was feeling sorry for myself, which is fair. It really was terrible, but he got me to think about it like in my favorite mode, which is, how am I going to reframe it later and tell it as a story 2 years from now, looking back? And that's an example of a beautiful way to use pre-manipulation. NLP in pre-manipulation is to, for example, a reframe of something that the person is demanding that they know that's going to come out okay because you're telling me what to do. So you're taking an NLP tool, you're putting it to their demand, but their demand stops as soon as they don't trust you. As soon as they're not sure, it all just, like rain, just goes all the way. Okay, so that would be an example.
That's wonderful, wonderful. The next question is pre-manipulation positive or it's always negative?
No, it's absolutely sometimes. It's never either, for sure. I hate to see. Let me tell you an example of things I hate online. I absolutely find it disgusting that we have people who will write something that's hateful about another group or another country or another person or a woman or a man or somebody. There's always a reason to hate somebody for somebody. And then what happens is I see all the likes come on here. Okay. And then I hear people say, oh yeah, those people are just a bunch of, oh, I hate them. They're just terrible. And I'm always like, okay, stop right now, guys. You don't know that. You don't factually know that. I've been to the country. I know these people they're very interesting, but they're not like what you're saying. And you haven't been there, so you don't know. So shut up, And so those are things I don't like in the pre-manipulation world, which is our social media. But there's other things I do like. When I come across somebody's post that I see is using wisdom, when they're actually using wisdom, not like, oh, today's going to be a much better day than yesterday. Baloney. That's garbage. Don't tell me that. Tell me today I'm going to make today a better day by, and then fill in the blank. Like, what are they going to do? Okay, what's going to happen here? What am I affirming? Yes, here's my affirmation, but what am I affirming? What am I doing? What's the action? Okay, now I can say, man, I love that. Excellent. That's how we use pre-manipulation to a positive tool to make the world a better place. So the answer is, it's good and evil all at the same time. Just take your pick of how it's going to play out with you as pushing the like button or not.
That's right. Okay, that's so great. The next question is it's a good question, in fact. How would I recognize that someone is using pre-manipulation on me, or is it a part of hypnosis?
Oh, that's a beautiful question. I actually haven't thought about that question, so I'm going to give myself 5 seconds. Okay, so first of all, if you're in social media, you are already demanding that people like your post. You don't want feedback that's constructive. You don't want somebody to say, well, Prashant, I don't think so. I think I disagree. Here's why. You're like, what? This is my post. You can't do this on my Facebook page. What's wrong with you? Are you crazy? So, um, so that's one way to look at one thing. But is it hypnosis? This is a really interesting question because hypnosis is where you bypass the critical faculty, what I call faculty, the critical, the people in your brain, the humans in your brain, what I call the Rolodex, which is your contact list. This is the people in the neighborhood, the people at church, the people at temple, the people wherever, all the people. All right. And so when things appeal to my Rolodex in my mind, to the people in my mind, that's when I'm in trance. And when I'm in trance, then I'm going to do what the person tells me to do. That's because in America, there's a sentence. John, that's an interesting product you have, but I have to check with my wife. Bill, that's an interesting product. I have to check with my attorney. Okay. I have to check with my children. Well, here's the deal. In real life, nobody does that, right? Nobody checks with their wife. Nobody checks with their husband. Nobody checks with their pastor or their the priest at temple. But we do think about, like, what would my wife say? What would my not anymore, healer. I did for a decade. I taught hypnosis, and I actually developed a pretty cool. There's a book out there that is worth getting. It's called the New Hypnotherapy Handbook. It's one of my favorite pieces of work I've ever done. I'm really proud of it. It will change how you do business exponentially and how you think about people's minds. Do consider looking at that. I don't know if it's available in India. I have no idea. But if not, we can get it to you from America. So anyhow, I'll work on that. And now I forgot where I was going.
Okay, you're talking about is it hypnosis or what?
Oh, right. Yeah. So when you're thinking literally, when you're thinking like, geez, I wonder what my wife would say. I wonder what my kid would say. I think a lot. By the way, Prashant, my children, I have two grown children, like full-size adult models. One's a psychologist. That's a pain in the butt. I just hate that because, we'll sit and talk. We disagree with each other on almost everything. But I run everything in my mind. Like, what would my daughter say if I did this? What would my son think if I did this? And I always want my kids to be proud of me or to know that dad did something else that was crazy and fun that everybody in the world's going to go, God, can I do that too? One of those kind of things. And so when I have that thought process, when you push those buttons and get me to think, so Kevin, how would you like to go to Las Vegas and go and do this crazy thing, like jump off a building or whatever, and if it appeals to me, I'm going to sit there and go, well, what would Jessica, my daughter, say? What would my son say? What would God think? God think you're stupid, Kevin. What are you dreaming? Are you crazy? Have you lost your mind? You've lost your mind. Okay, well, if God's that irritated, I'm not going to do it. So that's simple one for me. All right, I get off of a lot because of God. So anyhow, yeah, it's very much a hypnotic tool if you're getting to the faculty, to getting into the faculty and then getting past it, the critical faculty. Great
And
question.
obviously, good question even. So even as you talked about, like, we can disagree, and that is exactly the part of rapport building. Where if you are in rapport, you can disagree with the person, right?
Absolutely. Now, by the way, if it's their Facebook page, I always suggest disagreeing with a question. So if somebody says, Prashant, if you wrote a book on affirmations, and I would say that some affirmations that I've read other people write they're terrible. They're like, oh my God, they're terrible. But I've seen other affirmations like that are genius, that are just like sheer genius. As you see a blue, like I have my house down here is sort of this grayish blue. So as you see a grayish blue, you find yourself feeling just a little bit better than you did before. Oh, I can believe that. I can believe that. Just a little bit better. Milton Erickson used to have an amazing way to affirm people. He had this. the man was a genius. People should read the collected 4-volume set. He would say, like, you're going to be going up and running up Mount Lemmon. This is Tucson, Arizona, 1970. You're going to be going up and running up Mount Lemmon, and you're going to find that you're going to get tired. But by the time you get back here in 1 hour, because you'll go up for a half hour, you're going to come back for a half hour, you're going to be complaining and irritated that you did that, remembering that the reason that you came to see me was that you were in pain and that you hurt.
Yeah.
Oh, just gorgeous, just gorgeous, And so there's genius and then there's average, right? And so it's like we have to constantly be elevating our work up within NLP and hypnosis. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So one more question is like somebody said, somebody asked right now, if it's a part of hypnosis, but sometimes we do not know whether the person is using a hypnotic language. For example, if somebody says, "I'm sure you are good at this," and what the person answers is like, "Mm, yeah," but we don't say no to that. So it's hypnotic, right? Am I right?
You're very right. That's terrible. Uh, right. That's not only not hypnosis. That's like just horrifying. Right. Great question. Uh, when we're telling somebody, we don't want to tell them that they're going to get an A on their test or that they're going to get a 20% raise or that kind of a thing. We want to say that I see you. What is the action that the human can take to get toward the result? We can't promise them the result. We can't. I can show you how to get the girl to go on the first date with you. Pretty much any girl in the world. Pretty much anybody. Now, here's the deal, though. The second one, the second date, I got nothing. That's all yours. Okay? So first date, no problem. Second date, that's a lot of work. That means you have to be an amazing person.
Yeah.
It was really fun being with you guys today.
Yeah. Okay. That's good. So, okay, like I sometimes use with some people. So if somebody is like talking to me and I say to the person, when I look at you, what I feel that you always help. You are a helpful person. You always help people. And sometimes what the reaction comes, uh, yeah, yeah, I do. So again, that's hypnotic,
That's
isn't
pretty
it?
cool. This little piece here is pretty nice, actually. Um, you know what I like about you, Prashant, is that you do have that ability to help people that a lot of people don't. That's how I would frame it. That a lot of people don't.
Yes.
That's undeniable truth, right? Undeniable. Whereas if we leave the part that makes it undeniable off, it might run up against too much resistance and it might kick back out, right? So this is one of those things. Helpful is one of the most important things worldwide that there is. We know that about 8 out of every 10 people is actually a helpful person. This is mind blowing because that means that some of those people are conservatives and some of them are liberals. Oh my gosh, what are we going to do with that? So, so yes, I love the helpful one, but just make things and for everybody, make your affirmation undeniable to where the person could not possibly deny it. In other words, they'll have to sit, struggle for a second, let it shake in their brain, go, well, yeah, I guess I really am pretty smart when I think about it,
Yeah.
you know?
Even it can be used for the benefit of the patient or the person who's coming for a session with you. Like if the person says, I can sit in meditation for a long time, and after like 10 minutes talk, you say to the person, uh, like I have spoken to you, but what I can read that if you try, I'm sure that you can actually go for it. And the person says, "Oh, do you feel that?" Yeah, of course. Okay, then I'll try. And the person
That
agrees.
that's nice. I like that. Cool.
Okay, so the next question is how does pre-manipulation affect the decision making?
Oh, wow. Um, Beautiful question. Because we are demanding people give us their opinions to tell us if we're right or wrong, if we made a good decision. Was it a good idea to wear the batik shirt tonight? If I ask that question online, if there's a lot of people that do, should I have worn this today? Okay, for an example. I mean, I've worn this out in the United States. Indonesia, this is normal, elegant wear. But here, people go, poor Kevin, he's just a little crazier every day, right? So pre-manipulation is me looking for everybody's validation, which is all of us. We all go on social media for everybody to like us, for everybody to like us. And we don't like it when we're not liked. Like, what did I do wrong? Why didn't they like that? What's wrong with me? Am I really screwed up? And so as people think about pre-manipulation, realize that this is what's going on in everybody's mind. It's not just yours, it's not just mine, it's all of us. And it's a universal experience. For the first time in our history ever, we have this universal experience for over half of planet Earth. They want to be liked and they want their opinion and they want it to be positive and agree with theirs, which is why there's no dislike button. So it's very manipulative. The mediums are very manipulative. But what's really important here is that people are sometimes leaving social media and now they're coming to see you or healer or someone else as a coach, and they want to be directed. So our job is not just to get them to feel good, it's to give them a plan. It's to like find out what's important and let's start making progress towards it. And by the way, before we go, the single most important part of any plan is the obstacles that are going to come and how you are going to overcome them. The obstacles are going to come. Okay, you do get 2 broken knees and a broken leg and metal put into your foot and your stomach muscles get broken and bad stuff is going to happen. Be ready for it. Okay, bad stuff happens, and then be prepared for it mentally. When bad stuff happens, realize it happens, but you can handle it. You'll be able to get through it. Other people won't. Other people will just sit there and be terrified all day long. You'll only be terrified like 10 minutes a day.
That's right.
See how we do that? We can shrink it down. We're not making it go away, right? Because that's unbelievable. It's not believable. But 10 minutes a day, yeah, I could be terrified 10 minutes a day instead of 10 hours.
Yeah, that's right. Okay, 3 more questions. The first question is like, uh, okay, it's from, I'm asking this question. So when we talk about like, we always share something on social media and we want other people to like it. So it's actually the expectation. So we always expect others to like, right?
Absolutely.
Right. So if you do not expect anything, just post it and whatever comes, it's a bonus. Okay, I've shared my value to the world. Now it's up to them how they work on it, right? And if they
Right.
like it, if they comment, up to them. So it's like when I expect something and if it doesn't happen, so clash happens. I tell the person, I talk to the person, and I say to my Facebook friend, I liked your post 10 times, but again, I'm expecting you to like my post too, right?
Of course, right? So it's like, please make me look better while I make you look better, even though it's all an illusion, which is just made up, right? We just made this up. But it's like fiction. So here's what I wrote down. What happens when somebody didn't like my piece of genius? Okay. So
Yeah,
Kevin writes something, and there's some number of people that I want to like this post. Okay. Or Kevin, if I post a picture of myself, which I think is a really good picture, doggone it, it better get a few likes. I need those likes. But what if it doesn't? Well, here's the deal. So my bubble doesn't get totally destroyed. My poor little brain doesn't get totally destroyed. You can say, well, Kevin, wasn't it you who said that if you don't post on a Monday or a Tuesday, that you're not going to get anywhere near as many likes in the United States? Oh, that's what it was. It was Thursday. That's the reason I failed. I get it. And so I have a little bit of optimism, a little bit. So I can test out my weak material on Thursday, Friday, Saturday. I can test out my best material Monday, Tuesday. By the way, that's the way that Facebook works. I don't know about Instagram. I haven't tested it there. Haven't tested it on TikTok. But just so people know, though, it's good to give people a logical reason without lying to them. We don't want to lie. If we lie to people one time, they will sit there and go, "Oh boy," right? They'll know. So I really don't like lying to people. I like making things undeniably correct. Undeniably correct. Great question.
That's good. So the second last question is, what skills are required to understand people like in pre-manipulation?
Well, that's a really great question. First, it's really good to have an awareness that people are not all like us. So
Yeah.
the liberal really is the liberal person around the world. Liberal thinking is actually biologically driven personality trait. It's the person is designed to like, oh, I like that kind of food and I like that kind of food. I like that kind of food. I like that kind of food. And you talk to me, I'm from Chicago. We didn't have any food. So it's like, look, give me a hamburger. I'm fine. Okay. So you learn to like one thing or two things, right? And so there's two things you like. And you sort of just stick with it forever. That's what makes a conservative. We also work really, really hard, okay, if we're a conservative. But doggone it, the other half of me is a liberal. And we like to be smart, and we like to be agreeable, and we like to be compassionate, and we like to make sure that people realize that life isn't all about getting higher. Sometimes it's about having a better experience in life. Drives
Yeah.
conservative side of yourself crazy. Like, what? A better experience? I just want to be wealthy, for crying out loud. Okay.
Okay, that's wonderful. The last question of the day is, any final tip you want to share for the audience who are watching us now or who will be watching us later?
Stop using the word goal, GOAL. Start using the word outcome. Okay. Because
That's good.
okay. All right. Goals are wonderful ideas. Okay. But when somebody says, my goal is to lose 10 kilos this month or this year, how many of those people are going to lose 10 kilos? They're not going to. They might lose 10 kilos 3 times. Okay. But they gained it back 4 times. All right. So goals kind of have this linguistic, at least in English, it has a something that you say you're going to do but not accomplish it. Okay. But an outcome is totally different. An outcome is like a door opening and you walking through, and there you are. There is no negative connotation to the word outcome. So what I would like you guys to use in thinking and working with your clients is like, what outcomes do they want? What outcomes are they looking for? And try to reduce the use of the word goal, except for when people fail, and put it over there. And now they're working with you because you're smart and you have certainty. You're good at expecting. You're smart. You've thought about their problem. You've put your strategies, your reframing idea into pre-manipulation, right? You put it together and you're going to tell it with certainty and expectation. Like, okay, when you come back next week, I expect to see you have tried the process 3 times. Tried the process. Doesn't mean they're going to have to you don't have to have 3 girls say yes to the date. You don't have to have 3 sales made, okay? You don't have to, but I need you to go and try 3 times. And I want
That's
to
right.
hear the stories, okay? And if they do this, if they just do the process, eventually everything will work out if they do the processes. That's what I have for you.
Oh, wow, wow. Awesome. Awesome. So thank you so much. It's really a wonderful session. I'm really enjoying it. But now, friends, as we have the time constraint and we come to the end of the session on the captivating YouTube live session on the persuasion in the age of pre-manipulation. I really want to express my heartfelt appreciation to all of you who are present here and who will be watching us later. Your enthusiastic participation, especially Healer Priya, and insightful questions have made this event truly memorable. And a special word of gratitude goes to our distinguished guest speaker, Dr. Kevin Hogan, for gracing us with your wealth of knowledge and expertise in the knowledge of this persuasion and NLP. Your valuable insights have left actually a lasting impact so inspiring us to be more knowledgeable in this interaction and communication. So, for those who are eager to connect with Dr. Kevin Hogan, and if you want to explore more about his work, about the learning, about NLP, about reframing, and all, you can reach out to him through his official website. Also, the link which I have shared, the Coffee with Hogan, and I'll also mention his contact details once the session will be over in the description box, so you can connect with him anytime. And once again, Dr. Hogan, your valuable resources and profound understanding, actually, about human behavior is undoubtedly has given the light in the lives of everyone. I sincerely hope that today's discussion has empowered the audience and responsibly, the ethically to all of you. So let's carry forward this knowledge and make a positive difference in the lives of yourself, in the lives of others, in the lives of the people around you. And thank you once again, Dr. Kevin Hogan, and our incredible audience. I look forward to having you join in our future events. And as we continue to explore a lot of topics and expand our horizons together. So, thank you once again, Dr. Kevin Hogan.
I expect to see great things from everybody.
So, wishing all of you a wonderful day ahead, and stay curious and stay connected, and have a wonderful day ahead. And see you next week with a new speaker and a new topic. Till then, stay healthy. Take care. Bye bye.
Take care, everybody. It's good to be here. Good night. I'm going to bed.
Bye bye.